Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial, we are going to be creating our very own Tumbler template, and then I'm going to show you how to cut this and get this applied to your Tumbler. So everything we use today will be listed and linked down in the description box down below, but let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys how to create a Tumbler template, and then we are going to be using that Tumbler template today in our tutorial. So this is the template we're going to recreate. So obviously I've already created it, and this is the one that I used for the Tumbler. And so I'm going to show you how I created this. So I'm in Procreate. For those of you who are not familiar with Procreate, Procreate is an Apple product or software that allows you to draw. It's where I do most of my decal work and creating new designs for PNG files and seamless files and such. So we're going to open Procreate, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the plus sign here. So this is where you'll see all of your canvas settings. So you can choose different sizes and such for your tumblers. So we're going to be using a 24-ounce plump today. And so I'm going to show you how to create a custom canvas size that will fit the width and size of your tumbler. So you're going to click on the plus sign up here. Then it's going to open this custom canvas. And we are going to switch this. As you'll see, this is in pixels. We're going to come down here and switch this to inches. Okay. And so the width and size of my 24-ounce plump is it's about 9.5 inches. I ended up doing 9.6 just because I like a little bit of extra wiggle room in case my outer lines get wonky, and I'll explain that to you in a bit. And then we're going to do the height at 8.2, okay? And so you can go ahead and change the title of your canvas. So this will specifically be for a 24-ounce plump template. That way, this setting will always be saved. I'm also gonna change the DPI to 300. You don't have to do this. I always up this to at least 300 because it's going to make this clearer. So anytime you're doing like PNG images, like you're coloring things, if you want a higher quality, you want to make sure that it is at least 300 DPI, because anything lower than that can have a little bit more of a low resolution when you go to import that into other cut softwares like Cricut or Silhouette, or even just printing like from a Google Doc. The resolution quality can be lower and can look a little pixelated. So I would encourage you to change your DPI setting to 300. Then we're going to go ahead and press done and create. So let's go ahead and open up our custom canvas. And this is what we're starting with, okay? So I know that many of you may not be familiar with Procreate, or some of you are kind of just getting started out in Procreate. And Procreate has been a lot of fun to learn. I definitely continue to learn things as I am exploring in Procreate and learning from the classes and courses that I have taken to learn Procreate better. But this can be a really fun software, not for just drawing and creating your own seamless or digital files, but this is also really cool for creating templates. I've done rhinestone templates in here. I've actually done like creating my thank you cards in here. So this has really been super integral for me and learning this for different things that I need for my own business needs. So that being said, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the brush settings here, and we're going to go to calligraphy and select monoline, okay? This is a brush setting that's already in your Procreate, so you don't need to purchase any additional brushes for the sake of this tutorial. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my brush size to be about 10. And what I'm going to do, I tend to have to turn mine, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a straight line around my canvas. Oops. There we go. Oops. Go back. We're going to draw a straight line across the top of our canvas. Now I'm going to go ahead and hold my pen there, and then I'm going to push my finger down, and that's going to make it a straight line, okay? Then I'm going to remove my finger, and now when I remove this, you'll see kind of faintly here the black line that we have, okay? So what I'm going to do, instead of like trying to make that perfect on all 4 sections, I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate it, and we're going to take that line put that back on, but we're gonna take that line and we're just gonna drag that down to here so that it literally lines up at the bottom. So you'll kind of see it like snap, and that's how you know it's straight and it's at the bottom, okay? We're gonna do the same thing again, except for this time, we're gonna take this line and we're gonna go down here and we're going to rotate that 45 degrees twice so that it's a straight line. And then we're gonna go ahead and place that over here. Now you'll notice the sections that are outside of the box, they will end up getting cut off, which is perfectly fine because we only need to have sort of the bordered edge. So then we're gonna take that same line we just duplicated and we're gonna scoot that to this side. Again, so that it makes that cross hatch of those orange lines, and we're done. So now what we have when I turn off my background is I have this rectangular border, which is going to allow my Cricut to cut out when we create this template file. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn my background back on, and then I'm going to squeeze my 2 fingers together, these 4 layers, so that they're on one layer. So now if I wanted to move this, I could move this entire thing, which of course I'm not going to be doing, but if I wanted to and I wanted to move those sections, I now could move them as one whole piece. So we'll just reset that, leave that alone. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna open up a new layer. The most important thing about Procreate when you are drawing and when you are coloring or when you are trying things out, layers are your friend. The more layers, the better, because that way you don't accidentally erase an area that you have already drawn. It also allows you to keep different pieces separated when you're creating whatever you're going to be making. So we're gonna add a layer. And for the sake of this right now, I'm just gonna go ahead and turn off this layer. It's not really gonna do much of a difference, but for this layer, we're gonna go to the little wrench tool up here, okay? And we're gonna go to Canvas, and I'm gonna go to Drawing Guide, okay? I'm gonna turn my Drawing Guide on. So you're gonna see all the grids on the background. And then I'm gonna go to Edit Drawing Guide. Now from here, I always increase my grid size so I get a really nice X in the middle. But we're actually also going to be using symmetry, okay? Because what we're going to be doing is we're gonna be drawing a flower for us to use as our sort of like stamp, if you will, for the cup, okay? So I'm gonna select symmetry, then I'm gonna go to my options, and we're just going to do vertical symmetry for now. You could do horizontal symmetry, which means the top matches the bottom. Vertical means the left side will match the right side. Quadrant means that whatever you draw in each quadrant will show up in the other quadrant. And then radial is really cool because anything you draw in that little radius section will show up in all the others. So for this, we're just gonna do vertical. And we'll go ahead and click done. Okay, now what I am gonna do, because what I forgot to do first was to draw a circle, okay? So I'm gonna go back to the layer I'm on, and I'm gonna turn off the drawing assist by just clicking on that layer and checking off drawing assist so that we can draw a circle. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw a circle. Do your best. If you make sort of kind of like a circle, oops, I didn't hold that long enough. If you make sorta kinda a circle, connect it, you will see it will kind of snap into shape. Now if I let go, it's gonna show ellipse up here, but I can click that little arrow down and change it to a circle, okay? Now I'm gonna pick up my little arrow, and that's gonna pick up my circle. So now I'm just gonna move it so that it's in the center of the canvas, so both of my orange lines are lit up, and that means that I'm in the direct center of the canvas. I'll let go and we'll uncheck the arrow. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to this layer and we're gonna turn on the drawing assist, okay? So now everything we draw on one side of the canvas is going to duplicate on this side of the canvas, okay? So I have to the way that I draw, I think it's because I'm left-handed, I don't know. The way that I draw though, I always have to zoom in and tilt my canvas slightly to the side. It's how I write in real life too. But we're gonna draw about 4 petals on this side and they'll duplicate on the other side, okay? So we're just gonna kind of go up like this. Don't love that. There's one. I'm gonna turn my canvas so I can draw the next one. Here's 2, and the goal is to make them about the same size, okay? Then here is 3. Oop, I wanna redraw that because that didn't do what I wanted it to. And again, the fun thing about Procreate is that you don't have to worry about like erasing. I gotta zoom in because I didn't get close enough to that. You can just hit the back button, it's my favorite. And then we'll do our last final one down here, okay? Oop, I don't want that to cross. Okay? And so now we have a flower. It is a little bit wonky, but you know what? That's what makes it unique to us, okay? You could go ahead and like mess with this, redraw things. You could use a flower stamp, which is what I did for the original design, just because I have or already have a set of floral stamps that I've created. But for the sake of this part of the tutorial, we're just gonna keep this, okay? So what I am gonna do for now is I'm just going to make this smaller by checking my arrow and just making it smaller. And we're kind of just gonna set that over here for now. We're gonna turn that off and we're gonna add another layer. I'm gonna go back to my drawing guide. I'm gonna check off symmetry and I just want all the grid. So I'm just gonna go back to 2D grid for this. And what I'm gonna do next is I am going to draw a line through the center here, okay? So again, hold that line, put your finger down and it will snap it into place. And so I've noticed that that line is not directly in the center. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick up my arrow because remember this is a new layer and I'm gonna bring it up until it snaps into place. So those orange lines are present, which means that I am perfectly centered, okay? Uncheck that. So that's gonna be the, you know, the separation between the top of the cup and the bottom of the cup. Now to work on sort of this bottom portion. So for the template, we have like 3 rectangles that kind of go through the bottom here. So to do that, we're gonna stay in the same layer. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna click on the selection tool. It kind of looks like a DNA strand up here right next to your arrow. And you're gonna make sure down here that this is on rectangle, okay? And with this, you can literally draw a perfect rectangle with no issue without having to try and draw it out perfectly. It will basically do all the work for you. So we're just gonna go ahead and make a rectangle to our liking. I like that, okay? And oopsies. I am just kidding. I'm gonna go back a couple spaces and I'm actually gonna do this on a new layer. That way I can move it a little bit easier without having to show you some of the other features. Okay, so we're gonna draw our rectangle. I'm not really like being super picky on like how big or how thick, but I know I want about 3 or 4 of these. So I wanna make sure though that this rectangle goes from edge to edge. So I'm just going to pull that out and make sure that it is touching edge to edge. Okay, and now we're gonna have to eyeball the space between like each section, but I'm gonna go back to my layers. I'm gonna swipe that layer that we just drew to the left and hit duplicate. And we're gonna grab that layer by hitting the select tool, the arrow, and then we're just gonna drag that down a bit. Okay, we'll do that one more time. Select that one. And we'll bring this one down, okay? And you can play with these. So like, I think I'm gonna go back to the layer above that, move this down a little bit more, which will cause me to need to move the top one down, the last one down a little bit more so that it looks even, okay? Okay, so we already have our stripes on the bottom portion of the cup done, okay? So the next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna go to those layers and I'm just gonna merge the 3 I'm actually gonna merge the center layer and the 3 rectangles. Now we're gonna go back and turn on layer 2, which was our flower that we drew, okay? What I am gonna do is I'm gonna make sure I highlight that layer. I'm gonna click on that and I'm gonna turn off drawing assist, okay? So now we have our flower and we're going to just kind of add our flower to just the various sections. I'm gonna start with one in the center, and this is kind of how you can just build, you know, your template. I'm gonna make some smaller. duplicate that again, move another one over here. You kind of just have like fun with this, okay? You can make your shapes as big or as small as you want. And so this isn't going to be exactly the same as the original one that I drew, but it gives you kind of the idea, okay? So I'm gonna kind of leave it like that for now, okay? So what we are gonna do next is we are going to add a few stars. So I do have a star stamp. I will link a set of like stamps that you can use. I'll try and find this exact one, but in case I can't, I will definitely make sure to link one that you can like find on Creative Fabrica for really cheap and whatnot. Whoops. And we're gonna go up here and we are going to add another layer so that we can put our stars on a separate layer, and then we'll just duplicate them. So we don't want a super huge star. I want a decent sized star, and we're just gonna stamp our stars as such. It's actually too small. I'm at about 21% for these. Okay, that's a pretty good size. So now I'm just going to kind of like place my stars where I kind of like them. So duplicate it, place them in kind of those open spaces. So all I'm doing is continuing to duplicate my stars and then just using that arrow tool to move them where I want them to be. So duplicate, swipe to the left, use that arrow tool, and move your star. We're gonna do that again a couple more times just to kind of like fill up the space. And then I'll show you how to kind of make this top part seamless, okay? Move another one, probably like here. Ooh, this is kind of a weird spot. Maybe I'll do a couple smaller ones. Another shape you could do here too is like you could choose to do like hearts, diamonds, you know, whatever you want. I'm gonna duplicate that smaller one a couple more times just to put in some of the other places. One thing with a star, like it doesn't really matter how you tilt it, kind of just always looks like it's the same in all the places. So we'll add a couple more, like one up here maybe. Okay, so I'm kind of okay with that. Could it be better? Maybe, but we're just gonna kind of go with that, okay? So the next thing I wanna do is I am going to merge all of the flowers with the stars, okay? So I gotta go from here to here, and we're just gonna pinch all of those layers together, okay? Oh, I missed a couple. Pinch all of those layers together. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn off the stripes that we have on here, and we're just gonna work with this layer right here, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and just drag this second layer to the top of the canvas. This means that my layers are now in order. So the top layer is what's on top of these stripes. So if I were to put the stripes behind this, the flowers would technically be on top, okay? So that's kind of how layers work. Whatever is the layer that's closest to the top is what's on like sort of the top surface layer, okay? And the other layers are below, okay? So we've moved that to the top, and so to make this a little bit of a seamless, more like a seamless pattern on the top, so it doesn't look so like, I don't know, it just looks too perfect, right? Like I wanna have like half of an image on the edge. What we're gonna do is we're gonna add a layer on top. We're gonna change this color to a color we can see. And this is also how you would kind of sort of how you would create a seamless pattern, but we're only doing part of the work. And we're gonna go ahead and, again, we're on the extra layer we just created. We're gonna go ahead and take that color and we're gonna drag it onto the canvas, okay? It's gonna fill up the whole canvas. Then we're gonna go back to that layer and click the N, and we'll lower the opacity so now we can see the flowers and the stars below it. Then we're gonna take the layer below it, which again is the stars and the flowers. I want you to swipe that to the right, and it's gonna ask you if you wanna group. So you're gonna group those layers, okay? Now you're gonna go to the group, which then means that I'm picking up both of these two pieces that are part of the group together instead of separately. And I want you to pull that layer to the left, and I want you to duplicate that layer. From here, you're on one of the groups. You're gonna pick up your selection tool, and you are going to drag that to the side until it snaps into the center. So I know that it's centered because my orange lines are highlighted. And it shows that I have a solid blue line in the center, okay? Or my solid orange line in the center, sorry. Okay, we're gonna do that again with the next layer, the group. We're gonna take that other group, okay? Make sure you're highlighting the group, not the layers, the group, because that's gonna be these two pieces together. And we're going to click the arrow, and now we're gonna swipe these ones to the right until they snap into place, okay? When you swipe for these, you're gonna see that the blue, you're gonna see the orange lines, but you don't get that center orange line, you get a center blue line. There's the orange. I went back and now it showed up. Sometimes it shows up as blue, okay? Then we'll lift our finger or lift our pen and we'll unselect that, okay? Now, at this point in time, what we're going to do is we're gonna go back to our layers and we're going to swipe to the left and delete the colored layers. Delete both of those colored layers, and then I want you to merge both sections, okay? Okay, so now what you can do is you could add more things to this. You could put another, flower in the center if you wanted to. You could add more stars, whatever you want, as long as it's not along the edges. And then you can continue to do that pattern so that the top part starts to look like a seamless pattern, which means that when these two sections come together, you're gonna see half of one flower and half of the other, and it will create that full flower once they meet in the middle, okay? So I hope that makes sense. So for me, I feel like I wanna add another flower to the center, but what I'm realizing now is that I didn't leave a duplicate out. So a way that you can kind of duplicate an image if you have already sort of, halved your original image or don't have that saved somewhere, is you are going to make sure you're on the correct layer. So we are on the layer with the stars and the flowers. You're gonna pick up the selection tool, okay? You're gonna go to freehand down here at the bottom, and you're gonna very carefully draw around the image that you want to duplicate, okay? Then we're gonna come down here and we're gonna select copy paste. And what that means is that it has taken that selection and it has duplicated it to sit on its own. Now we'll go ahead and click the arrow, and now we can move and put another flower in the center, okay? So what I think I wanna do is I wanna keep a flower in the center. And then what I'm gonna do is I'll go back to the original layer, layer 2, and I'm gonna go to that selection tool and I'm gonna go around this again. Now I know you're gonna see me drawing through this flower, but remember this flower is on a separate layer. But now I'm gonna take this arrow and I'm going to move it out of the way so that it's not touching my flower, so it doesn't overlap, okay? I'm gonna do the same thing, select that selection tool and move all of the things that really are like overlapping it. So selection tool, draw a circle, select your arrow, scoot this out of the way. You can resize them, you can kind of reshape them, whatever you want to do to kind of make this design yours. What I will tell you is that something to remember is that if you are drawing on the same layer and trying to select something, if you go around that section and you accidentally cut off part of another image, what's gonna happen is when you go to move it, it's gonna cut off part of that, okay? So just to fix that, you would just go to reset, uncheck that arrow, go back to the selection, and again, very carefully draw around that section, okay? Now I can move this flower out of the way, okay? Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I know I'm going kind of fast, but I don't want this to be like a 75-hour-long tutorial. Okay, I also don't think I like this one over here. So I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna move this. Honestly, I'm probably gonna move it over here. I don't know, something just tells me that that doesn't like work. But I'm also now gonna have to move this one. Oop, let me clear that. We're gonna have to get close because these two are on the same layer. And I just want to move that out of the way. It was just too close. Okay, so again, you can just continue to play with things, move them out of the way. Now this only works if you don't have the background colored, okay? If you have the background colored and you have it attached to this layer, it's gonna move anything that's on it, okay? So just make sure that you don't have anything behind your layer that's connected to it. If it's in its own layer, that's fine, right? But if it's at, you know, if you've smushed those layers together, it's going to pick up everything. Okay, so now I feel like I am pretty satisfied with how this looks. So now from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge the selection layer with the original layer 2. We'll turn on the third layer, which was our stripes, and we're going to turn on layer 1, which of course was our outline, right? So that's going to allow our Cricut to cut out the actual rectangle so it doesn't just cut these sections and not have the actual length and width that we need for our Tumbler template. So now what we're going to do is we are going to turn off the background by unchecking that. And so now you'll see we have our finished template here, and we're going to select the wrench tool. We're going to select share, and you're going to select PNG. And then if you already have Cricut on your iPad or on the device you're using Procreate on, then you can just save that image and then upload the image from your photo gallery. Otherwise, you can, if you have, you know, Apple products, you can just airdrop it to your computer, your Mac, airdrop it to your phone and do Cricut from your phone, or send it to yourself via email, okay? So I've obviously already saved ours, and so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go into Cricut Design Space, and I'm gonna show you exactly how to get this sized and cut. Okay, so now we're in Cricut Design Space, and I wanna show you guys how we are going to get this uploaded. So I've already sent it to my computer. I just airdropped it since I was working off my iPad and I have a Mac computer. I just airdropped that directly to myself. And so now I have already uploaded it into Cricut Design Space. And now we're gonna add it to our canvas, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and click the uploaded file. We'll click add to canvas. And it's gonna come in a bit larger than the actuality of the size we need. So we do need to size this. So we're gonna uncheck the lock here, and we're gonna put in the dimensions of our cup. We're gonna do our 9.5 or 6, depending on how close you want that seam. I did 9.5 for this, and we are going to do 8.2 for the height. Once you do that, you can go ahead and lock this so that the proportions do not change. And then that is all we're gonna do from here as far as uploading it. Now, this file here, we're going to be cutting on our double-sided sticky sheets. But we also are going to incorporate some vinyl down here for the stripes. And so for me to be able to, you know, have the size stripes that I want, I just duplicate the actual template, and I'm just going to change this to a different color so that it ends up on a different mat. We'll change it to orange for the sake of this. And so this one will be cut. I'll cut my printed vinyl, my 12 by 12 printed vinyl with this image or with this template on it so that I can just pull out these rectangle pieces for later. Then I'll have much of this template to be able to use for another cup too for a future project. So we're gonna go ahead and click Make It. And then of course we're gonna size our mats accordingly. So I'm gonna be using my 12 by 12 mat for both of these. And I am going to just make sure it's on the right size. When I go to cut my file, I'm going to be cutting it on the custom setting. I use the sticky paper with the sticker paper with the, I think it says like the gray lining, and I just use it on the regular cut setting. I don't increase pressure or anything, but that is what I use to cut my sticky sheet, my double-sided sticky sheet, so it doesn't cut all the way through. For the vinyl, we're just going to use the regular vinyl setting to cut this image out of our vinyl. So I'll see you back at the craft space to put this all together. Okay, we're back, and now we finally get to play with some glitter. So I've already cut my template out on my double-sided sticky tape or paper. I will link the ones that I use, the cat scratch tape that I use, but you guys know that when I am using the double-sided sticky paper, it is super thin. If you've ever worked with it, it really is a very thin sheet to work with, and so sometimes that can be quite difficult to roll onto your cup because it's very easy for it to rip, I should say. So I always apply mine by adding it on top of a sheet of vinyl, and that just makes it a little bit more sturdy, makes it a little bit easier to apply this without ripping my template and needing to recut the entire design. So I definitely recommend this if you haven't tried this before. So I've laid down just a sheet of white vinyl. So we're going to apply this template right over our white vinyl. And I'm going to start to peel back the blue backing of our double-sided sticky sheet, and we're just going to sort of transpose this right on top of that vinyl sheet, okay? So it doesn't really need to be straight, just making sure that you have enough vinyl on your, you know, backing to cover the entire sheet of the entire template. But we are going to cut away anything that is, you know, in excess. So anything that is outside of that rectangle that we created in Procreate for the outline of our design, we're going to cut all of that away, okay? So it might seem like a little bit of a waste of vinyl, but if you've ever tried to apply these right from just the double-sided sticky sheet onto your cup, you will know how difficult it is to really get that applied without ripping it or getting frustrated. So after we're done with that, we're going to now trim up our design. So you can use scissors, you can use your, you know, your cup edging or your paper cutter, whatever you have on hand to cut this. I just like to use my paper cutter to like get kind of close, and then I'll go in with scissors just to cut, you know, right up against that, cut away, I should say, that rectangle section there. That's just my method of choice personally, but whatever works for you. Once we've cut this away, we'll shape it up a little bit more with my scissors, and then we can get ready to apply this. So as I mentioned, this template is going to be a little bit larger or longer, have a slight overlap for the cup. So we are using a 24-ounce plump from the Tipsy Magnolia. I have a discount code to save you guys 10% down in the description box, so you can grab up these tumblers. So we are going to be applying this, of course, directly to the cup. And so right now you'll see I'm just making sure that everything is kind of going to fit correctly. So I already know that I'm going to have a little bit of an overlap, which is perfectly fine. I'm okay with that overlap because that actually is perfect with how the design is created with that like flower that's on the edge there. And so I'm just kind of trimming up this one side so there isn't so much of an overlap on the cup. So once you're satisfied with, you know, trimming up your design as best you like it, I definitely recommend going back and forth between like cutting a few edges and then putting it back on your cup for size. You want to make sure you don't cut too much away when you're cutting just that little bit of excess, because then you have like this one silver strip of cup that you can see down the seam, and then you'll kind of be frustrated with that. So once I've gotten just those two edges, I felt pretty satisfied with that. I'm just going to trim the top a little bit. I do end up with these templates. It doesn't matter what template I do, but if you've ever done with sticky sided tape, sometimes it can cause a little bit of like, I don't want to say a bubble, but like puckering at the top or bottom edge. So I always typically will use my cup edging tool to just trim off the bottom so that I can get a real smooth finish around the bottom edge of the cup, but whatever works for you. So we're going to go ahead now and apply this to our cup. Okay, so now to go ahead and apply this. So I did speed this up just a little bit. I did prep my tumbler. I just sanded it, you know, cleaned it with some 91% rubbing alcohol, and now we're going to apply this. So I'm just going to remove the backing of the vinyl sheet, and we're just going to roll it on like a sheet of vinyl. The only thing I would be mindful of is because of this particular design, the outline of all of the daisies that I have on this are kind of come up as I'm trying to roll it on, but take your time with your template. Try not to pull up any of those pieces on the double-sided sticky tape, and you know, take your time. Use a big squeegee if you have one, and just take your time pressing that on. I did again trim off that bottom edge just so that I didn't end up with any puckering. The top looked really good, so I didn't really need to do any cleanup there. I'll be able to do that in the sanding process. So now that our template is applied, remember I did go to Cricut and we cut this template twice. So we cut it once on the double-sided sticky tape, and then we cut it again on a sheet of vinyl. So this is a 12 by 12 sheet of vinyl from Myra Makes It. I will go ahead and link this one down below. This was part of her like March bundle. A really pretty cute bundle. We're actually going to use a decal from that bundle as well. And so we're just going to find the pieces that we want for this cup or for this template off of the sheet. So I'm starting with those bottom rectangles as I explained to you guys when we were creating and designing this in Cricut Design Space. I am going ahead and adding those rectangle shapes to the bottom portion of the cup here. Okay, so I'm just going to take my time here. It is already sticky here. Obviously the vinyl is sticky too, but we're going to remove that sort of top white carrier sheet, and then we're just going to find the section that we are using on the cup, and we are going to then apply it. So I'm taking my time when I kind of line things up because I want to make sure that I get things on straight. and that I don't accidentally, cover up the actual like white transfer paper. So just take your time. Don't rush the process. It really is a very easy and simple process. And I love the incorporation of using the vinyl on the cup, as well as being able to add, of course, the traditional method of these sticky sheets, which is adding the glitter. So now we're going to get into the glittering, and I'm going to list all the glitters that I'm using down in the description box. I have some Batty glitter. I have a glitter from Glitter Makes It. I have some old glitters, which of course I will link an alternative down below. But again, you can grab these glitters from the different vendors that I list down below, but you can also just use whatever glitters you have on hand. This is a template that it doesn't have to be glittered a certain way. Whatever way you choose to glitter this template is completely up to you, and that is what is so fun about creating your own templates and then being able to glitter them. I could take this same template and use a completely different set of glitters, and the design would come out completely different. So it's just a fun way to be able to use these templates that many of us have maybe bought off Etsy and then not actually used, because I'm definitely guilty of doing that too. But if you want to be able to create your own, it's also a really fun way to be able to try out new designs and really be able to stretch your creative power. So the first glitter we used there was Alien from Maisha Creations, who doesn't sell glitter anymore, but I will try and list an alternative from Batty Glitter down in the description box. And I'm just doing the stripes first because it's the easiest. I typically, when I am doing these sort of templates, I typically will do the darkest glitters first. So I started with the greens because they're the darkest of all the glitters I'm using before I go into sort of the lighter colors up top. So now I'm just taking off all of the outlines of all of the daisies. I don't know if this is a daisy. You guys know me. I feel like I call every flower that I see a daisy. If it isn't a rose, it is for sure a daisy in my world, because I don't have a green thumb. So sorry, I'm not a botanist. I don't know much about flowers other than they're really pretty to look at. So we're going to go in with the outline for all of our flowers up top with Karine. This is a yellow glitter from Batty Glitter. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous glitter. A yellow that I hadn't used yet. I hadn't realized I had it, and now I want to put it on everything. It would be a really cute, like Winnie the Pooh cup themed glitter to use. Then we'll go ahead and take off all of the stars, and we're going to add Rosita from Batty Glitter onto those. I do wish for this, and you're going to see me do some outline work on the actual cup when we're finishing this up, but something I do wish that I would have done is that I would have added a darker pink for here. I think that the glitter definitely matches, but between the pink and the blue that we use, they're both very sort of transparent. So the pink gets a little bit lost because it's more of a translucent glitter and not sort of I think a darker shade just would have gone a little bit better. So once we've gotten all of our stars applied, we're going to go ahead and do the background. So the background is just going to be blue to kind of match the background of the vinyl here, which is super pretty. So I'm just taking my time to go around all of the floral sections and remove that entire backing. So again, take your time. Don't rush the process. Take your time here. And then we're going to go in with Odessa, which is the blue color we're using. A really pretty blue that I think would be perfect in a beach cup. So don't be surprised if you see me coming with like a beach template design from Procreate that I create and using these really pretty blue glitters that I have. So we've gotten the blue applied. Final piece, of course, is going to be to remove all of the petals of the flower and then add our white. We're adding a pure white glitter called Gale from Glitter Makes It here. I got this a while ago and I have yet to use it. Another glitter that has just been sitting in my collection. I have not had the opportunity to use it. So it was really nice to be able to use that today. But I'm just, again, going around those and pushing that down to get that glitter to stick to the sticky sheet. And that is kind of the final look of this. So this will this will sit for a minute. A few hours later, I ended up spray sealing it, brushing off any excess glitter, spray sealing that so that it was good to go on the turner. And then I'm going to do a coat of Flynn Sisters Fast Set Epoxy, of course, so that I can get to the decal portion. So we're going to add all of our line work now. Again, another way that you can just continue to change up this look and design depending on what colors and what vinyl you choose to use for this. I'm going to do a little bit of a vinyl work with just some vinyl strips in white and some washi tape in green just to match. So Again, do whatever you kind of want with this, but I love how this is sort of coming together. This is telling me that I am ready for the warmer weather and the springtime, and I am done with the cold for sure. I feel like I've said that in the last few tutorials, but I really mean it when I say it. I'm done with the cold. I'm ready for the warm. So we're going to add some green washi tape, sort of like in every other order, just to kind of break up that monotony down below on the striped section. And then the last piece we're going to do here is, like I mentioned, I felt like the stars really started to blend in here. And so I'm just going to go back and do my best to outline the stars. Don't look too closely. It is not perfect. I might go back and like redo the stars because some of them got a little wonky. It's like I've never drawn a star before. So, and then just to sort of make those daisies pop, I'm going to go around the daisies and outline them in a white Posca paint pen just to kind of make them stand out away from that blue background, just because these are all very light pastel-y colors and sometimes they can just kind of blend into one another. So the final piece that we're going to do is we are going to add a decal. So this is the decal sheet that was part of that bundle with this floral vinyl. And so we're going to put this cute little decal on here just to kind of, you know, pull everything together. Of course, you could totally go without a decal. You don't have to add a decal. I just had these and I felt like it was just the perfect addition to this cup to just kind of finish things out. So this is a UVDTF. These UVDTF decals are from Batty Glitter, so myramakes.com. And of course, I will let you know all of the links and things down below. So that is everything. I hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I know it was a bit of a long one, but I hope that you did enjoy it. And certainly, of course, if you have questions, be sure to leave those down in the description box or down in the comment section down below and check the links out in the description box. Have a wonderful Saturday, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye.